Alright guys, what's going on? Mouse here again. So in this video, let's talk about how to build your fire teams, because some of you guys have been asking me a lot of questions about the defense penetration, because the last video that we've had on defense penetration was mostly focused on the concept itself, how it works, and we also presented some of the technical stuff about it. So this one will be a straightforward guide, like the step-by-step process on how you should count your defense penetration, how much do you need. It won't matter whether you're F2P or not F2P. This will apply to all, even if you don't have ESIL. What advancements do you actually need? Should you use ARM set? Should you use expert set, obsidian set? So if you guys have those questions, this video is gonna help you. But before we do, just real quick, Netmarble just sent us a new mission, which is a weird mission actually, because they're now asking us, as in literally today, January 24, to make a video about the patch last week. So I don't want to make a content around that specifically, like reviewing those updates, because it wouldn't make any sense, and I'm not sure if I can submit old videos for that. So we're gonna be getting mana power extract from here, so let's just be patient and until we submit this video as well for the mission. So what we'd be doing instead is to just give you a quick tour, or just in case you missed some of my videos, you just started watching a few of my videos. We did have a lot of videos about the new Hunter ESIL. We also have a new video on just showcasing the fan weapon, which is also part of the update. The very first video that we had on ESIL, which showed its potential in WOBL. But don't watch this video anymore. What you should watch instead, if you want to learn more about the fire team and how to build them properly in detail, just in case you want to get the details, like the math behind it, etc., then I would recommend watching this video, which is going to be the new info on penetration, how to achieve max damage of the depth penetration meta. We outlined everything here, and we also compared the fire and light here, and I give my take on what happened this update. So we also have videos showcasing ESIL in the simulation gate. We also have videos showcasing ESIL in POD, which was crazy. We achieved crazy scores in the fire team with this because of the continuous break and the prey of the week continuously stacking on the dragon's head. And we also have a new video on the guild boss with ESIL as well. For the fun weapon, I'm still playing it. I'm kind of torn whether or not the fan weapon is gonna be worth it. It honestly feels the same, but I have to really play it more, because I only had a few hours to be able to test it, and I'm gonna be playing it now. I still have attempts on WOBL, so that's what I'm currently doing for the fan weapon that just got released yesterday. My most recent video is about the fire meta, what expecting for the hard mode, my thoughts on Soohyun, my thoughts on Gina, my overall thoughts on fire meta, as well as the fan weapon. By the way, I forgot to mention that I also showcased the new cores here in this video on the guild boss, specifically all those MP cores, because this video showcases how to remove Hansemi on the team to get a full damage lineup here, fire and light, and using the new course that regens MP and lowers MP consumption reduction. So I also featured those as well. So far, those are the videos that you can check out in relation to what has happened in the past update. So for the events and shit, you guys can see it on your screen anyway, so I'm not gonna cover that anymore. Hopefully that's gonna be fine though with the Netmarble missions. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out the build. So a lot of you guys have been asking me via PM in certain Discord servers comment section, how much depth penetration do you actually need? Should you use ARM set? Should you use curse set? So first, let's talk about Soohyun here. Okay, so the fire team right now takes advantage of the defense penetration meta, so that's going to be the focus of our discussion here, and clearing WOBL, because that's the most relevant game content right now. If you don't have Soohyun, then you gotta wait for Kanae. If you have Soohyun, then you probably can start just a bit, building her a bit, just in case you want to play her. Of course, you have the option to use the light team now, because the light team now can still finish the WOBL pretty decently, but The fire team, especially the defense penetration build, 100% defense penetration build on Soohyun, is seen like undisputed already the strongest approach or the meta, the most effective tactic that you can use to clear WOBL, and that's because of her defense penetration. Remember, passive defense penetration is not going to be affected by monster level and the combat power. So from her weapon alone, she can get 12%, and from her buff another 24% here, as well as from the passives, which will give you another 12%. So all in all, that will be 48% passive defense penetration, meaning you only have to get 52 remaining percent of defense penetration to get that full ignore defense build. But do remember though, in my previous video, we also mentioned that defense penetration is going to be affected by the target's level. So knowing the exact amount would require some extra work, which is I'm going to teach you as well. A very, very easy way to do that using Brrr'S formulary. You would know the exact amount you need for guild boss WOBL, no matter what monster level you're fighting. It's going to be easy. That being said, Soohyun with 48% total, you only need 52% more. So where do you get that 52% more? Right now, we only have a few options to get that from. Firstly, it's gonna be from Gina, but that will be a bit further away at A4, which will give you 8% defense penetration. So if you add this, you're gonna get 48 plus 8, that's gonna be 56% defense penetration. And from ESEAL, you can possibly get up to 12% also at A4. But if you don't have ESEAL, you can use Emma, which gives you 7.77% defense penetration as well as some fire damage. So that's quite decent as well. However, the problem with Emma is that she doesn't give anything else aside from that, because ESEAL, aside from the 12% defense penetration, will also provide you with huge amounts of attack here. 2,400 additional attack is very big, and also she has a passive at A2 which gives additional 9%. No, and aside from that, she also has a stacking prey of the week, which was very, very optimal when it comes to clearing that WOBL, especially the last stage where the break state is continuous every single time you beat the game mechanics or the mini mechanics, wherein afterwards he's gonna fall into the break state. So that's why ESEAL is very, very superior, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be able to reach the 100% defense penetration, of course, which will give you large amounts of damage output against high def monsters in WOBL. So some of you guys have been asking me about Choi, like what's Choi's place in there? There's no place for Choi in there, in my opinion. It's very suboptimal, and the reason why is because of the defense decrease and defense penetration stacking, because Choi specializes in decreasing defense. So this is something that is often asked. Is it okay to put defense penetration on Jinwoo? So let me just explain this real quick, just so you know the gist of it. Alright, so we don't have time anymore to make some nice graph or diagrams or sheet. So let's just do it here on the old classic paint. So let's say, for example, so this is defense. The red one is going to be the defense. So what happens when you stack your defense decrease and defense penetration is that all the time, always, you're going to have to reduce the defense first before applying the defense penetration. So I already discussed this in one of my previous videos. So basically, for example, you decrease the defense of your target by 60% using shadow step. So what happens here is that when you apply defense penetration afterwards, you're only going to penetrate what is remaining of the defense. So even if, let's say, you have like 50% defense penetration, you're only going to chop off that half amount of defense remaining. It will still add some damage output, so it's not going to be as impressive, for example, compared to penetrating the entire thing without applying any defense decrease. So which is why in general, okay, stacking a lot of defense decrease is not optimal with defense penetration. For example, you use Choi in POD with Ana Ruiz and you only have remaining 8% defense. Then even if you have 30% defense penetration, the amount of defense that you're gonna chop off is gonna be small. But again, guys, this is just a representation of what is happening, just to explain it to you in a simple way. But the numbers here are gonna be different. So if you want the numbers, watch my video. I'm not gonna discuss that here anymore. So all you have to do is to go to the SLA Formulary by Brrrr. This contains a lot of the formulas that have already been derived by a lot of theory crafters. Although most of these are from Brrrr, some of these are from other people. And I just want to clarify, by the way, I apologize to Tachyon because of a mistake. Tachyon was actually the one, by the way, who unlocked this defense formula, which he first shared in Huarion's Discord server. So it was Tachyon who first shared this formula to us. So let's thank him for that, because we are now using this. Seriously, it helps a lot when it comes to making builds, efficient builds for characters. There is a section here which says real def pen of monsters above level 60 plus, and the reason is that below level 60, the stats that you see from your stats page is still pretty accurate, but as the monster level went up, it's gonna be less and less. So the only thing that you have to do here is to type in the level of the monster. For example, the first stage is level 101, and type in the def pen stat that you have, or the target def pen stat that we would need. Let me just go back here. The total that we have is going to be 63.77%, and we just added 18% from the Black Lion set. So meaning we only need around 18.23% defense penetration. So how much do we need to actually get the 18.23% defense penetration? All right, so let's go back here and then just type here. By the way, Brrrr, who was the one who came up with this formula, it's actually very nice. So 23,500 is already 18.26. So factoring in the margin of error, this is already fine and it's easier to remember. But if you want to be more precise, so it is 23,450. So I'm not sure if Baron's gonna work plus 1,000 once you go in, or if it even works inside the WOBL diamonds. I think it does, right? So we need 23,450 defense penetration now. So it's already possible to reach 100% ignore def even with Emma here. If you don't have Gina, then you're gonna need more defense penetration. So all you have to do is to go back here and check how much defense penetration you're still missing. So if we don't have Gina, then that means we have 8 less penetration. We will need 26.23% to fill in for that. But the problem is, if you don't have that, and let me just show you here, you need like 40,000 plus defense penetration just to be able to do that. Okay, so if you can beat the monster already even without the full perfect ignore, then that's fine. But if you want to like maximize your damage, then you're gonna need this, which is why those passive percent from the fire team is actually very important. Because for example, for Isil, you're gonna be able to allocate your stats. Not only that, Isil will give you a lot of like buff, especially on attack, fire damage, damage received. She's also gonna give you more space to allocate your cores or your artifacts or your gems on other stats rather than focusing on defense penetration alone. Another thing that you want to have here is the precision. So let's go back here. So everything is already here. Okay, monster level 101. You have to just type the level and just get the precision stat. So 99.56%. So we need like 23,700 precision against a level 101 monster. That will already give us 99% precision. So I hope that's clear for now. And starting now, you can actually build your own characters using that SLA formulary, and just by simply adding what you have, what artifacts you have. Now, regarding the question, what if you use the curse set? Then you're gonna lose 18% defense penetration here from the 4-piece set, and that's gonna be extremely hard to push for that 100% or near 100% value, because as the monster level is higher, it's becoming hard. Like you saw earlier, we have 40,000 plus defense penetration, and it only amounted to like 20+%, okay, which is suboptimal. So Black Lion actually gives a lot of a space for you to allocate on other stats, because another thing here to consider is that this one gives you already a lot of damage dealt increase, and also you're gonna get more damage increase because here from Soohyun's skill, so you're gonna get damage increase amounting to the 24% of the user's defense penetration. So it's fine not to focus too much on damage increase stats. When it comes to critical hit rate, of course we have to overcrit. I would recommend just going for 10k maybe. We don't have the numbers yet for the crit rate, but for now I think 10k is a safe number. 11k even maybe. So now when it comes to guild boss, the amount you need is gonna be on a level 70 monster. So the guild boss is shown as level 80, but when we tested how the guild boss reacts to the amount of crit damage, amount of damage increase, we have figured out that it is actually level 70, but we have to confirm 100%. But based on what we have tested, and that's how it is. All you have to do here, so just put 70 here, and then just adjust the defense penetration stat according to what you already have. So for example, my Soohyun in the guild boss does not use the Black Lion set. If you're not using the Black Lion set, your defense penetration percent will be 48% from Soohyun. You're gonna get 12% here and 8% from Gina. So that will be 68% total passive penetration. And if you want to use a curse set, then you're gonna have to have 32% more defense penetration stat. So for a level 70 monster, that is gonna be 28,750 defense penetration stat. So anything beyond this, we don't want to get those anymore, which is why Soohyun right now, if you reach this stat on Soohyun, you can focus on other things: damage increase, critical hit damage, crit rate, especially attack and attack percent, which is why Soohyun right now, if you saw my recent post with Soohyun with 5.7 billion damage, that's what I did there. I'm already at exactly 28,750 stats. So that will be, if you check that in the stats page, that will be around 36+%. So, but it's actually not 36+%. So when it comes to the builds, this is pretty straightforward. Grid set here for total power. But if you already have the total power, you also have the option to actually use the Sylph's Blessing. It's actually also recommended here because you will cast the ult immediately, so you're gonna get one immediately. And of course, you're gonna use your QTE oftentimes, and you're gonna be able to max it out immediately. But in general, you just want to use the grid set because of total power purposes, including those game content. And of course, right now the fire team is actually having problems when it comes to the crit rate, because no one has a passive crit rate or no one has a passive crit rate buff, which is why crit rate is very, very important right now. But that could change, of course, when Kanae comes, which is assumed to be a crit rate based unit. So the same goes for Gina. WOBL, just use a blessing set. If you're doing speedruns, of course, then that's gonna be a different story. And just follow the same concept for the course. Just use attack percent course here, this one, right? The others are entirely optional. It's not very crucial for them, but of course, ideally you would want a red core, for example, so that you can get more shields whenever you cast your ultimate, for example on Isil. But of course, you can also use things like the one that gets decreased damage taken, because these girls are pretty squishy, I tell you. They're attack units, and Gina's support skills are not yet enough to be able to like make them tanky enough so that you won't have to dodge all the time. So for the MP, I've seen great results when using Teeth of the Watcher set. But of course, the Crimson Apex is also good. But the Nameless Demon's Magisphere is something that we don't want anymore because we can't cast ult frequently for those units, so we can't really use that. And their ultimates here, for example, these types of core is not very crucial, I feel, so you can leave this core and then just invest on what I assume to be, at least, or expecting to be, the next meta that the devs are gonna push, because they have been introducing a lot of MP mechanics in the game, especially in the new fire weapon. We might need that as well. So this one gives MP recovery rate to the team, to the fire team members are gonna benefit from it. So we might see some MP related stuff in the future, but those are just speculation, but it's better to be safe, of course. So overall, we are already heading towards a situation where monster levels are becoming higher and higher, and even 40,000 defense penetration only amounts to 25% actual defense penetration, which is, I think this is already like maybe around, let's just check here. You can check that here as well. Very, very useful tool. Thanks to Brrrr for so your defense penetration percent in the stats page is 44% if you have 40,000 defense penetration stat. But against a level 105 monster, you're gonna only get 25.24% actual defense penetration percent. So meaning, if you want to reach that high defense penetration amount, then we're gonna be forced to use Black Lion set instead of trying to force it on defense penetration here, which is nearly impossible already as we head towards the later parts of the game. So, but of course, there might be new stuff that is going to be implemented in the future, like a new defense penetration shadow or new progression systems that will add passive penetration percent instead of defense penetration stat here. So we just have to look forward to that. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and see you on the next one.